Exodus chapter 8. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, the canals, and the marshland, and bring the frogs up over the land of Egypt." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But by their spells the magicians did the same, bringing frogs over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh then summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Entreat Yahweh to take the frogs away from me and my subjects, and I promise to let the people go and sacrifice to Yahweh." Moses said to Pharaoh, "You are the one to gain by it. When would you like me to pray for you, your officials and your subjects, so as to rid you and your houses of the frogs, so that they will be left only in the river?" "Tomorrow," he said. Moses said, "It shall be as you say, so that you will know that there is no one like Yahweh our God. The frogs will leave you, your houses, your officials, and your subjects, and will be left only in the river." Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh's presence, and Moses pleaded with Yahweh about the frogs, which he had inflicted on Pharaoh. Yahweh did as Moses asked, and in the house and courtyard and field the frogs died. They piled them up in heaps, and the country stank. But once Pharaoh saw that there had been a respite, he became obstinate, and as Yahweh had foretold, refused to listen to them. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the earth, and it will turn into mosquitoes throughout the whole of Egypt." Aaron stretched out his hand with his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and there were mosquitoes on man and beast. All the dust of the earth turned into mosquitoes throughout the whole of Egypt. By their spells the magicians tried to produce mosquitoes in the same way, but failed, and there were mosquitoes on man and beast. So the magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of God." But Pharaoh was obstinate, and as Yahweh had foretold, refused to listen to them. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh as he makes his way to the water. Say to him, 'Yahweh says this, let my people go and worship me. But if you will not let my people go, I shall send horseflies on you, on your officials, your subjects, and your houses. The Egyptians' houses will swarm with horseflies, and so will the very ground they stand on. But I shall exempt the region of Goshen, where my people are living. That day there will be no horseflies there, so that you will know that I am Yahweh, here in this country. I shall make a distinction between my people and your people. This sign will take place tomorrow." Yahweh did this, and great swarms of horseflies found their way into Pharaoh's palace, into his officials' houses, and all over Egypt. The country was ruined by the horseflies. Pharaoh then summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Go and sacrifice to your God inside the country." "That would never do," Moses said, "since what we sacrifice to Yahweh our God is outrageous to the Egyptians. If the Egyptians see us offering sacrifices which outrage them, won't they stone us? We shall make a 3 days' journey into the desert to sacrifice to Yahweh our God as he has ordered us." Pharaoh said, "I will let you go and sacrifice to Yahweh your God in the desert, provided you do not go very far. Pray for me." "The moment I leave you," Moses said, "I shall pray to Yahweh. Tomorrow morning the horseflies will leave Pharaoh, his officials, and his subjects. But Pharaoh must stop trifling with us by not allowing the people to go and sacrifice to Yahweh." Moses then left Pharaoh's presence and prayed to Yahweh, and Yahweh did as Moses asked. The horseflies left Pharaoh, his officials, and his subjects. Not one remained. But Pharaoh became obstinate this time too, and did not let the people go. Exodus chapter 9. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Yahweh, God of the Hebrews, says this, Let my people go and worship me. If you refuse to let them go and detain them any longer, look, the hand of Yahweh will strike your livestock in the fields, horses, donkeys, camels, oxen and flocks, with a deadly plague. Yahweh will discriminate between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt. Nothing of what belongs to the Israelites will die. Yahweh has fixed the time. Tomorrow, he has said, Yahweh will do this in the country." Next day Yahweh did this. All the Egyptians' livestock died, but nothing of the livestock owned by the Israelites died. Pharaoh had inquiries made, and found that of the livestock owned by the Israelites, not a single beast had died. But Pharaoh was obstinate, and did not let the people go. Yahweh then said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from the kiln, and before Pharaoh's eyes, let Moses throw it in the air. It will turn into fine dust over the whole of Egypt, and produce boils breaking into sores on man and beast throughout the whole of Egypt." So they took soot from the kiln and stood in front of Pharaoh, and Moses threw it in the air, and on man and beast it brought out boils before breaking into sores. And the magicians could not compete with Moses in the matter of the boils, for the magicians were covered with boils like all the other Egyptians. But Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and as Yahweh had foretold to Moses, he did not listen to them. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh. Say to him, Yahweh, God of the Hebrews, said this, Let my people go and worship me. For this time I am going to inflict all my plagues on you, on your officials, and on your subjects, so that you will know that there is no one like me in the whole world. Had I stretched out my hand to strike you and your subjects with pestilence, you would have been swept from the earth. But I have let you survive for this reason, to display my power to you, and to have my name talked of throughout the world. Since you take a high hand with my people, refusing to let them go, very well. At about this time tomorrow, I shall cause so severe a hail to fall as was never known in Egypt from the day of its foundation until now. So now send word to have your livestock and everything else you own in the fields put under cover. On man or beast that all happen to be in the fields and are not bought indoors, the hail will fall and they will die. Those of Pharaoh's officials who respected what Yahweh said brought their slaves and livestock indoors, but those who did not take to heart what Yahweh said left their slaves and livestock in the fields. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand towards heaven, so that it hails throughout the whole of Egypt, on man and beast, and on everything growing everywhere in Egypt." Moses stretched out his staff towards heaven, and Yahweh thundered and rained down hail. Lightning struck the earth, and Yahweh rained down hail on Egypt. And so there was hail, and lightning accompanied the hail, very severe, such as had never been known anywhere in Egypt since it first became a nation. All over Egypt the hail struck down everything in the fields, man and beast, and the hail beat down on everything growing in the fields, and shattered all the trees in the fields. The only place where there was no hail was in Goshen region, where the Israelites lived. Pharaoh then sent for Moses and Aaron and said, "This time I have sinned. Yahweh is in the right, and my subjects are in the wrong. Pray to Yahweh, for we cannot bear any more of this thunder and hail. I promise to let you go. You need stay no longer." Moses said to him, "The moment I leave the city, I shall stretch out my hands to Yahweh. The thunder will stop, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth belongs to Yahweh. But as for you and your officials, I know very well that you still have no respect for Yahweh God." The flax and the barley were ruined, since the barley was in the ear and the flax in bud. But the wheat and spelt were not destroyed, being late crops. Moses left Pharaoh and went out of the city. He stretched out his hand to Yahweh, and the thunder and hail ceased, and the rain stopped pouring down on the earth. When Pharaoh saw the rain and hail and thunder had stopped, he relapsed into sin, and he and his officials became obstinate again. Pharaoh was stubborn, and as Yahweh had foretold through Moses, refused to let the Israelites go. Exodus chapter 10. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his officials stubborn, to display these signs of mine among them, so that you can tell your sons and your grandsons how I made fools of the Egyptians, and what signs I performed among them, so that you would know that I am Yahweh." Moses and Aaron then went to Pharaoh and said to him, "Yahweh, God of the Hebrews, says this, 'How much longer will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go and worship me. Or if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I shall send locusts into your country. They will cover the surface of the soil, so that the soil cannot be seen. They will devour the remainder of what has escaped, of what you have been left after the hail. They will devour all your trees growing in the fields. They will fill your houses, all your officials' houses, and all Egyptians' houses, something your ancestors and your ancestors' ancestor have never seen, from the day they first appeared on earth until now." Then he turned on his heel and left Pharaoh's presence, at which Pharaoh's officials said to him, "How much longer are we to be tricked by this fellow? Let the people go and worship Yahweh their God. Do you not finally realize that Egypt is on the brink of ruin?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, who said to them, "Go and worship Yahweh your God." "But who are to go?" Moses replied, "We shall take our young men and our old men. We shall take our sons and daughters, our flocks and our herds, since we are going to hold a feast in Yahweh's honor." Pharaoh said, "So I must let you go with your wives and children? May Yahweh preserve you. Plainly, you are up to no good." "Oh no, you men may go and worship Yahweh, since that was your original request." With that, they were driven from Pharaoh's presence. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over Egypt for the locust. Let them invade Egypt and devour whatever is growing in the country, whatever the hail has left." Moses stretched his staff over Egypt, and over the country Yahweh sent an east wind, which blew all that day and night. By morning the east wind had brought the locust. The locust invaded the whole of Egypt, and settled all over Egypt, in great swarms. Never had there been so many locusts before, nor would there be again. They covered the surface of the ground till the land was devastated. They devoured whatever was growing in the fields, and all the fruit on the trees that the hail had left. No green was left on tree or plant in the fields anywhere in Egypt. Pharaoh sent urgently for Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against Yahweh your God and against you. Now forgive my sin, I implore you, just this once, and entreat Yahweh your God to turn this deadly thing away from me. When Moses left Pharaoh's presence, he prayed to Yahweh, and Yahweh changed the wind into a west wind, very strong, which carried the locusts away and swept them into the sea of reeds. There was not one locust left in the whole of Egypt. But Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and he did not let the Israelites go. Yahweh then said to Moses, Stretch out your hand towards heaven, and let darkness, darkness so thick that it can be felt, cover Egypt. So Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and for 3 days there was thick darkness over the whole of Egypt. No one could see anyone else or move about for 3 days, but all the Israelites did have light where they were living. Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, Go and worship Yahweh, but your flocks and herds are to stay here. Your wives and children can go with you too. Moses said, But now you must give us sacrifices and burnt offerings to offer to Yahweh our God, and our livestock will go with us too. Not a hoof will be left behind, for we may need animals from this to worship Yahweh our God. For until we get there, we ourselves cannot tell how we are to worship Yahweh. But Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and he refused to let them go. Pharaoh said to Moses, Out of my sight! Be sure you never see my face again, for the next time you see my face, you die. Moses then said, You yourself have said it. I shall never see your face again. Exodus chapter 11. Yahweh then said to Moses, I shall inflict one more plague on Pharaoh and Egypt, after which he will let you go away. When he lets you go, he will actually drive you out. Now instruct the people that every man is to ask his neighbor, and every woman hers, for silver and golden jewelry. And Yahweh made the Egyptians impressed with the people, while Moses himself was a man of great importance in Egypt, in the opinion of Pharaoh's officials and the people. Moses then said, Yahweh says this, At midnight I shall pass through Egypt, and all the firstborn in Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, heir to his throne, to the firstborn of the slave girl at the mill, and all the firstborn of the livestock. And throughout Egypt there will be great wailing, such as never was before, nor will be again. But against the Israelites, whether man or beast, never a dog shall bark, so that you may know that Yahweh discriminates between Egypt and Israel. Then all these officials of yours will come down to me, and bowing low before me, say, Go away, you and all the people who follow you. After which I shall go. And hot with anger he left Pharaoh's presence. Yahweh then said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that more of my wonders may be displayed in Egypt. Moses and Aaron worked all these wonders in Pharaoh's presence, but Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and he did not let the Israelites leave his country. Exodus chapter 12. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, This month must be the first of all the months for you, the first month of your year. Speak to the whole community of Israel and say, On the 10th day of this month, each man must take an animal from the flock for his family, one animal for each household. If the household is too small for the animal, he must join with his neighbor nearest to his house, depending on the number of persons. When you choose the animal, you will take into account what each can eat. It must be an animal without blemish, a male 1 year old. You may choose it either from the sheep or from the goats. You must keep it till the 14th day of the month, when the whole assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at twilight. Some of the blood must then be taken and put on both doorposts and the lintel of the houses where it is eaten. That night the flesh must be eaten, roasted over the fire. It must be eaten with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roasted over the fire, with the head, feet, and entrails. You must not leave any of it over till morning. Whatever is left till morning you must burn. This is how you must eat it, with a belt round your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You must eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover in Yahweh's honor. That night I shall go through Egypt, and strike down all the firstborn in Egypt, man and beast alike, and shall execute justice on all the gods of Egypt. I, Yahweh. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and you will escape the destructive plague when I strike Egypt. This day must be commemorated by you, and you must keep it as a feast in Yahweh's honor. You must keep it as a feast day for all generations. This is a decree for all time. For 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the first day you must clean the leaven out of your houses. For anyone who eats leavened bread from the 1st to the 7th day must be outlawed from Israel. On the first day you must hold a sacred assembly, and on the 7th day a sacred assembly. On those days no work may be done. You will prepare only what each requires to eat. You must keep the feast of unleavened bread, because it was on that same day that I brought your armies out of Egypt. You will keep that day generation after generation. This is a decree for all time. In the first month, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day, you must eat unleavened bread. For 7 days there may be no leaven in your houses, since anyone, either stranger or citizen of the country, who eats leavened bread will be outlawed from the community of Israel. You will eat nothing with leaven in it. Wherever you live, you will eat unleavened bread. Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, Go and choose a lamb or kid for your families, and kill the Passover victim. Then take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and with the blood from the basin touch the lintel and both doorposts. Then let none of you venture out of the house till morning. Then when Yahweh goes through Egypt to strike it, and sees the blood on the lintel and both doorposts, he will pass over the door, and not allow the destroyer to enter your homes and strike. You will observe this as a decree binding you and your children for all time. And when you have entered the country which Yahweh will give you, as he has promised, you will observe this ritual. And when your children ask you, What does this ritual mean? You will tell them, It is the Passover sacrifice in honor of Yahweh, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt and struck Egypt, but spared our houses. And the people bowed in worship. The Israelites then went away and did as Yahweh had ordered Moses and Aaron. And at midnight Yahweh struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, heir to his throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up in the night, and there was great wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house without its dead. It was still dark when Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up, live my subjects, you and the Israelites, go and worship Yahweh as you have asked, and take your flocks and herds as you have asked, and go, and bless me too." The Egyptians urged the people on and hurried them out of the country, because they said, "Otherwise we shall all be dead." So the people carried off their dough, stale and leavened, their bowls wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. The Israelites did as Moses had told them, and asked the Egyptians for silver and golden jewelry and clothing. Yahweh made the Egyptians so much impressed to the people that they gave them what they asked, so they despoiled the Egyptians. The Israelites left Ramesses for Succoth, about 600,000 on the march, men, that is, not counting their families. A mixed crowd of people went with them, and flocks and herds, quantities of livestock. And with the dough which they had brought from Egypt, they baked and leavened cakes, because the dough had not risen, since they had been driven out of Egypt without time to linger or to prepare food for themselves. That time that the Israelites spent in Egypt was 430 years. And on the very day the 430 years ended, all Yahweh's armies left Egypt. The night when Yahweh kept vigil to bring them out of Egypt must be kept as a vigil in honor of Yahweh by all Israelites for all generations. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the ritual for the Passover. No alien may eat it, but any slave bought for money may eat it, once you have circumcised him. No stranger and no hired servant may eat it. It must be eaten in one house alone. You will not take any of the meat out of the house, nor may you break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel must keep it. Should a stranger residing with you wish to keep the Passover in honor of Yahweh, all the males of his household must be circumcised. He will then be allowed to keep it and will count as a citizen of the country, but no uncircumcised person may eat it. The same law will apply to the citizen and the stranger resident among you." The Israelites all did as Yahweh had ordered Moses and Aaron, and that same day Yahweh brought the Israelites out of Egypt in their armies. Exodus chapter 13. Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, "Consecrate all the firstborn to me, the first birth from every womb among the Israelites, whether man or beast, it is mine." Moses said to the people, "Remember this day on which you came out of Egypt, from the place of slave labor, for by the strength of his hand Yahweh brought you out of it. No leavened bread may be eaten. On this day in the month of Abib you are living, and when Yahweh has brought you into the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, flowing with milk and honey, which he swore to your ancestors that he would give you, then you must observe this rite in the same month. For 7 days you will eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there must be a feast in Yahweh's honor. During these 7 days unleavened bread may be eaten. No leavened bread may be seen among you, no leaven among you throughout your territory. And on that day you will explain to your son, 'This is because of what Yahweh did for me when I came out of Egypt.' This will serve as a sign on your hand, or a reminder on your forehead, and in that way the law of Yahweh will be ever on your lips, for with a mighty hand Yahweh brought you out of Egypt. You shall observe this law at its appointed time, year by year. When Yahweh has brought you into the Canaanites' country, as he swore to you and your ancestors that he would, and given it to you. To Yahweh you must make over whatever first issues from the womb, and every firstborn cast by animals belonging to you. These males belong to Yahweh. But every firstborn donkey you will redeem with a lamb or kid. If you do not redeem it, you must break its neck. All the human firstborn, however, among your sons, you will redeem. And when your son asks you in days to come, 'What does this mean?' you will tell him, 'By the strength of his hand Yahweh brought us out of Egypt, out of the place of slave labor.' When Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, Yahweh killed all the firstborn in Egypt, of man and beast alike. This is why I sacrifice every male, first issuing from the womb to Yahweh, and redeem every firstborn of my sons. This will serve as a sign on your hand, would serve, or a headband on your forehead. For by the strength of his hand Yahweh brought us out of Egypt. When Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not let them take the road to the Philistines' territory, although that was the shortest, in case God thought the prospect of fighting makes the people change their minds and turn back to Egypt. Instead, God led the people a roundabout way through the desert of the Sea of Reeds. The Israelites left Egypt fully armed. Moses took with him the bones of Joseph, since Joseph had put the Israelites on solemn oath with the words, 'It is sure that God will visit you,' he had said, 'and when that day comes, you must take my bones away from here with you.' They set out from Succoth and encamped at Epham, on the edge of the desert. Yahweh preceded them by day in a pillar of cloud to show them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could march by day and by night. The pillar of cloud never left its place ahead of the people during the day, nor the pillar of fire during the night.